Hi there, I'm Mark, I'm from Liverpool Hope University and I work in the student recruitment team. Today we are going to do our first of our Facebook Live series, particularly focusing on early childhood, disability studies and education studies as general. So what we'll do is we'll start walking through the building, as you see this building behind us, on this beautiful day. So basically as we go through it's going to be quite noisy, guys. That's because it's a very lively campus at the moment with students on lunch hour and different things like that. So it's really important, if it does go like that, I'll just basically shut up. So as we walk through, first place that we're going to be going is the early childhood corridor. Here we're going to meet one of our current students on the early childhood course, and we'll also be looking with one of our tutors on the early childhood course. So any questions that you do have, guys, feel free to pop onto the comments here. And if you pop them onto the comments, we've got a team of people waiting. If myself or anybody that we meet today don't know the answer, we will be able to sort that for you. So at the top of these stairs is our early childhood corridor with all of the academic tutors who teach on that course. So it's going to be a little bit of a walk and I might get out of breath, but that's part of it. So like I said, we're going to be meeting Alex, who is one of our tutors on the course. So any questions that you do have, pop them along the bottom. And as we just go through now. So as we go through, you can see the tutors' offices as we go past. There's open doors. We'll explain a little bit more about that as we go along today. But that's a really useful tool for students to have when they're at university. And I'll explain that as we go through. So we're just getting to the office now, guys. Hi there.
Hi.
So as we see here, guys, we have Alex and Rachel. So if you would just like to introduce yourselves and say a little bit about yourself, starting with you, Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex Owen. I'm the head of department for the Department of Early Childhood.
Cool. And Rachel?
Hi, I'm a student in my third year doing a combined honours of early childhood and education.
Perfect. So if any of you guys out there are looking to come to the university and study early childhood, you can talk to these guys now, basically. So Alex, first question, what can students expect from the course?
So in terms of early childhood, you can either study it as a major where you combine it with a different subject like Rachel has with education, or you can just study early childhood as a single honours course. But for both courses, basically, we look at the development of children from 0 to 8 years of age. So we look at things like their psychological development, their social development, their physical development. We also look at things like how we construct childhood today and how the world sees childhood and understands childhood in our context and also internationally as well. We look at provision for children, so we look at provision for children in their early years within the UK, but also internationally as well. We look at social policy and how that affects children and their families, a whole range of different aspects.
Right, okay. How would the students be assessed on the course?
There's a whole range of different ways to be assessed. So there's no big assessment at the end. We like to assess students throughout the year so that they can learn from that and develop. We use a whole range of different assessment methods, so essays. We use portfolios where they add little bits each week and then they're assessed that way. We use things like presentations, oral presentations, and also we use exams as well. There's also a big research project at the end of the third year, which Rachel's working on at the moment, where students are encouraged to really explore something that excites them and that they're passionate about, so that actually they can bring all their learning together. So it's not just one-off assessments, they continue throughout the 3 years to help support the students.
Right, okay. So what support is available for students while they're studying?
There's a lot of support for a whole range of different things. So each student is given a personal tutor that they meet the first week that they arrive, and they really get to know that personal tutor through the tutorials that they attend. Those tutors then have office hours as well, where students can drop in throughout the week to come and speak to them and talk to them about anything they're struggling with. There's also a range of different, so if a student has a specific issue, maybe to do with their writing, we have writing mentors down in the library that we can refer students onto. We have a whole team of people that look after students' well-being and development, so we can signpost students in that direction as well. But you may have noticed as you walk down the corridor, lots of the office doors are open.
Yeah.
We have an open door policy here, so the students are encouraged to drop in to get to know their tutors and to feel supported in that way.
Right, okay, thank you. So like I said before, guys, the open door policy, I'll explain a little bit as we go through another corridor, but Alex just touched on it there. We have a question here. What possible careers are there from the course?
So from early childhood, there's a whole range of different career opportunities, and that's what we really like about our course. Is about 50% of our students go into teaching, and that's a brilliant step into teaching through the PGCE, which is what students move into after graduation. But it doesn't tie you down to teaching. So actually, through your experiences through the course, if you decide teaching isn't for you, then there are lots of different opportunities. So our students have got into a whole range of different work opportunities afterwards. We've got people working in the prisons with families who are obviously engaged in prisons. We've got people working in local museums through museum education. We've got people working in the local hospitals in Alder Hey. We've got quite a lot of our students go into working with big charities. So Save the Children is a big charity that they work with. There's a whole range of opportunities. Also, it's a nice step into social work as well. So obviously they'd need a postgraduate qualification for that, but it's a really nice route into that.
Right, okay, thank you. So now we're going to talk to Rachel. So Rachel, what would you say is the best bit about the course for you so far?
I'd probably say, I know it's probably going to sound weird, but my dissertation.
Okay.
Because it's an area of research that I can dive into, and it's something I want to do, so it's not on the curriculum of what I have to do to complete the course. But yeah, I'd say that throughout the support of the dissertation is probably the best thing.
Right, okay guys, so your dissertation usually takes place in third year if you're doing a 3-year course, or if you're doing a 4-year course it would be in your 4th year, and it's research that you choose to go into. You have one of the tutors, so for example Rachel might have Alex as their tutor, and she will support her with her own dissertation. She gets to choose basically what subject she looks into. If you had any advice, Rachel, for prospective students coming and wanting to study this course, what would you recommend?
To do research before you come onto the course, let yourself know what you're getting into, and just for so you know that what is expected of you once you start.
Right, okay, thank you very much. So like I said guys, any further questions for these two, feel free to pop them in and then we'll get back to your answers. Is that okay? Great. Thank you very much guys.
Thank you.
So from here we are walking further along. We are going to see Ella, Owen and Ruth in the Eden building. So basically we're moving, so that was early childhood. All of these subjects that we're going into today guys fall under the Faculty of Education. So that's the overriding faculty, and then underneath all these subjects that we can split it into. As Rachel described there, she's doing a combined course. So when I was a student here, I done a combined course also. But they're really good options to look into, especially if you're interested in 2 different fields. So we're seeing Ella and Owen. They are tutors in the disability studies. So we're going to ask them questions. So if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them on. And we're also going to speak to Ruth, who is a past student on the undergraduate course, but is currently a master's student on the disability course as well. So as we go down here, guys, it may get noisy again. What I will point out very quickly is here we have our library, and where these guys will be. So on the door they have the name, and their room number. So if you have them on a timetable, it's really easy for you guys to come and knock on the door and speak to your tutor if you're worried about any sort of work at all. But with the open door policy, they have office hours on their door. So for an example there, on Monday 10 till 11, that door is open and that tutor will be in there. So all you have to do if you're struggling with work and that is one of your tutors, knock on the door and feel free to talk to them about any issues that you have with the course. We also have student development and wellbeing over the road, which is our student support team. They can help you with any issues that you have with studying, whether yourself have a disability of some sort, and them guys can help you there. So it might go a little bit bright now, guys, as we're back outside. Really, really nice day today. So as we go through here, we're going to go into one of the glass offices and speak to Ella, Owen and Ruth. So I'm just going in now, guys. Hi guys, you okay? So I'm just going to pull this chair alongside these three lovely people. So can you just start off by introducing yourself, guys? And then just a little bit about what you do at the university.
Yeah, my name's Owen Barden. I am a senior lecturer in the Department of Disability and Education.
Hi, I'm Ella Houston. I'm a postdoctoral teaching fellow in the Department of Disability and Education.
Hi, I'm Ruth. So I'm a past student from the Undergraduate Education and Special Educational Needs course, but I'm also doing my Masters in the evening in Disability Studies, MA.
Right, okay guys, so first question I'll direct towards you, Owen, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So what can students expect from the course?
Well, our undergraduate programme is made up of two courses or two majors. So there's special educational needs and there's disability studies. Where they are similar really is that they both take what we call a critical approach to special educational needs and disability. So we look at all aspects of disability and special educational needs as relates to education. What we don't do is sort of go disability by disability or impairment by impairment and talk about, you know, what's wrong with particular kids or groups of people. What we do is look at the education system and how it responds to people who have a variety of diverse needs, and also more broadly about our culture and how that influences the way we think about special educational needs and disability and the way we think about education and how it should be done.
Okay, thank you. How would the students be assessed, Ella, if they were to come to the university and study disability studies?
So the students have a variety of assessments. So for example, in their first year of study, they one of the assessments that we do that students really like to engage with is a media portfolio. So we're really interested in how disabled people are represented in the media, because the media does influence societal perceptions of disabled people. So for this, students would gather different media representations of disability, so from a broadsheet newspaper, from a tabloid, from advertising, from films, from books, and they would analyse that representation of disability. In the second year of study, one of the assessments that has actually won prizes in the university for being innovative and exciting is called the Information Pack. So for this, students would choose a certain impairment or a label, and they would represent this label or impairment in an empowering way, an alternative way that's very different from dominant medicalised understandings. And then in the third year, so of course one of the things that we do in the third year of study is a dissertation. So students will pick an area of research that they are excited by and interested in, and they would do a research project on that. And throughout the degree there is support from members of staff, so you will have your personal tutor, but you know, all the members of the department are really keen to foster a community and a supportive learning environment. So we're always happy to talk to students and meet with students in our offices. And we also have a Disability Studies Society that's started and run by students as well. So, you know, not only does staff support students, but students also support one another, which is really great.
Right, okay. So like Alex was saying in the other department, guys, there is a lot of support available for students, and Ella's just clarified that for us, especially with the disability studies. I'm just going to slide over and turn the camera around because my arm's going a little bit dead, if I'm honest. So, Ruth, sorry.
Yeah.
As a past student, what advice would you give for students who want to study disability studies?
Yeah, well, I would definitely say research into the course, because as we said, we do offer a special educational needs course, but we also offer a disability studies course as well. So researching which one that you would prefer to study on. I know that the disability studies one has a section in the second year which is some sort of placement in either an organisation or a school or something like that. So if that is something you wish to go down, then that course would be best for you. Also do your readings each week as well. That'd be my biggest advice as well, because then you know you're getting the foundations of what's to come for the lectures, the seminars and things like that for that week.
Okay, and the question that I asked Rachel before, what was the best part of the course for you?
Oh, we were watching that before as well, and I'd have to agree my dissertation was my favourite part, and that was because I got to research into an area that I was most interested in, so therefore I could put 100% into something that I was passionate about and take that forward. Right, okay, thank you. So I'm just in the background, and there's my ugly mug. So we have a question from Amy on here, guys. Are there any placements on the degree?
Well, yeah, as just been mentioned, in the second year, there is a short placement on the disability studies major. If you take that route, excuse me, it's only a short placement. You have to bear in mind that this is an academic course. It's not a teacher training course, or it's not a professional training course. It's an academic course. So the emphasis is very much on academic work. But in the second year, yeah, there is at the moment a short placement that students can go on in a local. So we've got a small number of local special schools and other kinds of institutions like that students can go to.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for your question as well, Amy. So we're going to leave these guys now. Thank you very much for your answers.
Thank you.
And we're going to head over to the Eden building a little bit more. So within the Eden building, we're going to meet Jodie, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about the education studies course. Mainly the similar questions that I've been asking the other guys, really. What can students expect from it, different things like that. And as I mentioned before, I've done sport and physical education as one half of my degree, and I've done education studies as my second half within my combined degree. So I can talk a little bit about that also. So we're just going to walk through here, guys. Hi there. Not too bad, you? So, let me just swap hands a moment.
Hi.
So this is Jodie. Do you mind just introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do?
My name is Dr. Jodie Crutchley, and I'm a lecturer in education studies here at Liverpool Hope University.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what type of assessments are there on the course for the students?
Sure. So quite a lot of what we do is based around essays, but we give a lot of help when you first start, and I think a lot of our students as well would say the same. That we do a lot about how to reference and how to write essays and how to write good introductions and conclusions at the start. And what we do is we start with a kind of low stakes assessment that's worth 5% of the year, and of course Level C first year is only worth 10% anyway, which is a way of getting in-depth feedback, one-on-one individual feedback from your tutor. So there's a way of you kind of building up and kind of doing better in your later essays and assignments as well. We also do a kind of e-portfolio where it's kind of like charting your learning journey, so you can save things on there, you can save things you've done in class from each of the kind of various disciplines that we do in education studies. So it's kind of like a real mix, and there is some group work, a kind of group poster in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with regards to what education studies is, could you give us a brief summary of what it covers?
Sure. So I guess it's a kind of exciting way of studying what education is, but it is academic because it is a degree after all. So what we do here at Liverpool Hope, and it's the approach that most universities take, but it is also distinctive about our course, is that we use 4 different disciplines to look at education. So we start with sociology, so we think about, is education fair, and how just is it, and how equal? And actually, I think students find that really interesting because they haven't thought before about whether the process they've been through in the schools they've been through themselves are fair and are just. And then we talk about philosophy, which takes you right back to the whole roots about what is education and what does it even mean to be an educated person. And then we do psychology as well after that, which is a lot more, I guess, what people might expect about how we learn and how children start learning and developing from babies upwards. And we finish up with history, which is looking at how we got here, how our education system sort of built up, and looking at how education in the past was different to education now. Yeah.
So from a personal point of view, guys, my favourite part of the education studies course was the psychology element. I really enjoyed certain parts of that you probably don't expect to be on the course. So it's really nice that you get to experience things at university and study things that you probably would never have thought of. So that's a really good thing. So why should students come to this university to study education studies?
Oh, I think that's a really good question, Mark. I think it's a great course, first of all. All of the tutors have a lot of time for students. I think there's a lot of support. In first year, you have just 10 students in your main group and 1 tutor who looks after you and just your group. And that means you build up a really good relationship, like I know I have with my students this year, and that they can help support you. And if there is anything going wrong or personal circumstances, I think you get a level of support that you don't get in other universities. But then on top of that, I think the department is really international, and I think that's important. You know, things like Brexit are coming up at the moment.
Definitely.
And I think the fact that we've got tutors who are from Africa and Asian continents, you know, we can bring a real different perspective to the course, depending depending on who you get, of course, because there are people who are just boringly British like me, but
Yeah.
still. Yeah.
Right, okay. So we're going to leave Jodie there. Thank you very much for your
worries,
time.
thanks, Mark.
And basically, I'm just going to walk over here, guys, and try and wrap this up. So, if there is any questions that we haven't covered for you today, and there's some things that you're like, well, maybe I should have known that, feel free to pop on the comments on the bottom. We have a team waiting who can get back to you with any question whatsoever. No question is a silly question, and that's the best bit of advice I can give anyone coming to university. What I will say is make sure that you go to open days and also have a look on our social media links. So this is one of them. There's also the student room, and you can also have a look at our Twitter feed to see what we're doing from there. So thank you very much, guys, and look out for our next one tomorrow.